Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode here on my Minecraft Let's Play Survival World. And in this episode we're going to be continuing building over here at my Tudor village. And in the last episode we actually made a sand duper and we did some of these builds interiors around here. And I can just show you one of the things that I made in the last episode, which is actually the thumbnail, which is this super cool looking piano design. And we've of course made the rest of the interiors of these builds, including this interior and this build's interior. And I have to say I really do love them. And in today's episode we're going to be continuing expansion in this area, and you're about to see what I'm hoping to do. But just before I do that, if you guys haven't already noticed, I started filling out this farmland slowly and slowly by myself off camera, and just trying to get this whole area completed so that by the time that we're finished with this kind of village area, that the farmland is automatically finished by me doing some work in between videos and off camera. And I think this is starting to look really cool. I just need to do a whole lot of terraforming here and put some custom trees, and this whole place will be finished. And I'm really looking forward to the day that this whole area is finished, and hopefully it looks super cool, because I really do love this whole kind of area and now it's starting to come together, especially now that we're building in this area. However, let's get straight on to what we're going to be doing in today's episode, which involves horses. That's right, horses. And if you don't already know this, I've actually been planning to get a horse for a while, because I've got loads of these saddles around and these diamond horse armor, and I think this will be really good to get a horse, because then we can travel in between short distances really fast. So I think in today's episode, what I'm planning to do is find a horse, a proper really cool one which is fast and it's got a high jumping capacity. So I've got a saddle here and some diamond horse armor, and I've got plenty more where that came from, so you can get more than one horse. And I'm thinking about building some stables in this area, and I think that'll look really cool. And I talked about this in a previous episode, where I was thinking about having a huge kind of stable or horse section of the village in this area over here, and I think this will look pretty cool, or close to the docks. We're gonna have plenty of stables here where we can store all of our horses, and include a few other buildings around this area just to kind of fill in the vibe. And I was thinking about in today's video that we should do some stables and a few other builds, like maybe a slide, like build just to hold some hay bales for the horses, and maybe like a small tower, and just to fill up the space. I think this will be really cool. But anyway, enough with that chitter chatter. Let's get straight into building. So to get started, let's quickly jump down here and fill up this little lake area, or this little pond over here, with some dirt, so that this is easier to build on and plan out our builds. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and do this. Alright, got this all patched up. Now I think we should fix up the terrain a little bit around here. So I just pull out my dirt again and kind of make this more like a roundish shape, because I don't want this kind of terrain to be a little bit weird, because it's kind of weird that the grass is only dropping down a block just as the path kind of makes a turn here. So I think it'll just look more natural if we kind of extend this a little bit. So if we just grab a little more dirt and we just extend this, and then we can just go ahead and grab some terracotta and start planning the builds, which I'm super eager to start building on straight away. So of course, now that we made this a little neater, I think this looks really good right now. And we can just tuck this away, grab out one of our building thingies, building shulker boxes. I believe it's this one which has the terracotta. Yeah, it sure is. So let's grab these orange terracotta here just to plan out the build. So I was thinking maybe we should have the stable in this area, because of course we're gonna have most of the village down here, and usually you wouldn't have a stable in the center of the village, because who would bring down their horse all the way into the center of the village and park up there, and it's kind of a hassle just to bring it all the way down. So I'm thinking we can just have like the village outskirts going to happen over here. So I think this is kind of a nice place to put in, the stables. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and get straight into kind of planning this out. So I think we should have it maybe. Should we have? I'm thinking about having a gap in between the buildings and the stables themselves. Maybe we can put some, kind of little details around here. Maybe put a cart or so. So I was thinking maybe you could put it around here in this kind of area, and of course it's going to be horizontal. And then of course we can have a path which runs down this way and out of the village, like I said, because you usually want to park up your horses or put your horses to the side on the outskirts, right? So I think this is a nice place where the path will just come down, flow through here, and I think it'll just kind of wrap around this way. So I'm thinking we should have some stables here, and then maybe if we really want to, we can have another pair of stables down there, and I think this will look really cool. And then I think we can finish off this episode with putting a few custom trees around here just to make it feel like the village doesn't abruptly come to a stop, just one building here and then completely vanishes, right? So I'm thinking about putting some custom trees around here so that it looks like there's a little bit of forest around here so that this building isn't, you know, right in the middle of just a plains like it is at the moment. So of course now we just need to plan this a little further. So I think we should bring this back a few blocks like so. I think that looks pretty good. Then of course we bring this along. I think that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think this maybe a little, maybe another. This is a nice size. Of course, now we just need to do that to the back side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just connect these up like so. And I think this looks really cool. Now I want to. This building is kind of just bland as it is. So I think actually to fill up just a little bit of the space over here, we have like a little kind of tower kind of jutting out of this building, and I think this could be kind of a nice design here. So I was thinking maybe we have 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, and like so. So that it's 1, 2, 3. Oh no, that's 4. Actually, that's fine as it is. I think that looks pretty cool. Actually, maybe we make it a little smaller. Make it, make it like. Actually, it'd be pretty cool if we have a super small kind of tower. I actually really like that idea. So we can have a super small kind of tower thing over here. I think that'll actually look really kind of cool. I think that's a cool idea. So I think that's a nice kind of layout for this stable building. So I'm just gonna go ahead with this design. Of course, now I'm going to just plan ahead these paths now in between. So if we just grab some of our white terracotta, which is our path block, and just kind of roll this in between the building up here. Just gonna have our generic path type like so, and of course this needs to be like a slightly larger path than usual because horses will be going through this path, and then of course we're going to have some buildings on this side which I will actually plan out later on in this episode as well. Now I did mention that I did not want the stables to be like a lone building, so I have a super cool idea of having a building on this side which has like an overhang which is also connected to the stable building. I think that look super cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and plan out that building as well. And then of course I can't really plan out the overhang because it'll be in the air kind of connecting these two builds together. But I think that's a really cool kind of thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and plan out this build and kind of roughly kind of assume where the overhang bit is going to go. But just before I do that, I would quickly like to say thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. I'm at 89 subscribers at the moment. We've been slowing down in growth a lot lately, but I'm so happy that we're still growing as a channel. We've gone from 0 subscribers down to 89 within the course of 4 months, which that isn't a lot in terms of most YouTube channels, but I'm really happy with it that we're still growing. And hopefully, I'm trying to aim to reach 100 subscribers before the end of the year, which is the end of this month actually. So if you aren't subscribed, please do subscribe if you do enjoy my content. Alright, I've gone ahead and planned out this build as you can see, and I think this looks like a sufficient kind of area for a build which will be attached to the stable over here. And as you can see as well, I put around some more white terracotta blocks just for me to envision a little better the width of this path over here because you can see it'll be slightly larger. And I think this is pretty good. Now, if you notice recently actually, if you fly up, that a lot of the village in that area is like with those terracotta kind of my traditional brown and gray terracotta ceiling. However, when we're getting into this area, it's starting to become like less of that terracotta style. And to be fair, I really like that a lot. But I feel like this village kind of needs to have that terracotta aspect in some places. So I think I'm either going to try and include more terracotta kind of roof builds in this area, or maybe, reversing back some of these builds into some more kind of non-terracotta builds, because I really love these builds a lot. And to be fair, we're kind of becoming into more of a Tudor kind of and medieval style mixed together, where that's kind of like a plain Tudor. And I think that it's kind of like trying to fight against each other. These like styles do not complement each other that much. So I'm think, hello guys, what are you guys doing? That is so many pillagers. That's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. That's eight pillagers. Is that? I feel like that's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. So before those guys, before they like, you know, scared me. Um, yeah, I feel like these two styles do not complement each other a little bit. So I might actually tear down these builds completely and maybe go over them with some new kind of builds, or just try to figure something out. But I won't be doing that in today's episode, of course. But so what I mean by that is that we might keep these builds not terracotta roofs like those ones, and I think that we might just go with a generic kind of like roofs that I'm going with here because I really like the style, and I think the Tudor style actually fits really nicely with these plain spruce and dark oak roofs as they are. So I think that's really cool. Anyway, I should probably go deal with those pillagers, and then we can get straight on to building this. And like I said, we don't need to do those terracotta roofs. All right, kill off those pillagers now. And why are the ink sacs here? Or maybe a zombie picked those ink sacs from the river and then died off here. That makes sense. But I can't actually find the banner pillager dude. Can't actually find him, and I'm scared that he's just gonna roam around and maybe kill one of my villagers. Like somehow find a way into my like villager breeder area. And I really can't seem to find him now. Got down there. I keep seeing a pillager murmurs in my subtitle section of at the bottom right of the screen. I cannot seem to find what was that movement down there. Maybe he's down here. Nope, nothing to see over here. Alright, that's pretty weird. Anyway, let's get straight on to building this area. And I think we should do a time lapse because it's pretty early into the episode. Actually, I haven't edited this yet, but I feel like this is pretty early into the episode. So I think it'll be pretty cool to have a time lapse at the beginning instead of the end for once. So I think we should just get straight into it. So without further ado, let's hit it. We finished the time lapse, and if you just turn around, you can see what we've done, and I absolutely love everything that we've done. If you actually turn around and we go into first person over here, you can see everything that we've done to this build, and I absolutely love it. But you probably noticed that we haven't done this build in the time lapse, and that's because I actually was, really content with how this worked out by itself, this stable building, and I think that maybe adding like an overhang kind of bridge thing in between these two builds might take away from how this build looks at the moment. So I was thinking maybe you can do that kind of overhang thing in somewhere over here in part of the village, because this is going to be the main part of like the city, like the town center, where near like the docks are going to be. And I think that because it's going to be a lot more buildings and they're going to be crowded together, that will make more sense. Plus, I really, really do love this building, and I'm just going to go over what I've actually built in the time lapse in a second. But because I had that extra time, because I didn't do this build, I of course did some extra details around here, like I did some custom trees and some pathways in between. Of course, I need to do some extra detailing still. But before I go around these builds and tell you the details, I think we should get a horse because that's a stable and we need some horses to fill that places out. So let's go find ourselves a horsey. So I'm just flying in the direction of the closest plains to me, which is pretty close to my village. That's my village. And this is a plains here, and I believe this has some horses. And there we go. Yep, we've got some horses here. So I'm gonna see which one I like here. And I think they all look super beautiful. But I'm really kind of falling towards this horse here. I think this is a really nice design. Got a little stripe on its nose and some really nice like black and white. And I really like black and white. So I have to try and tame this horse and bring it back to the village. And I can probably bring back another horse. We'll also get a brown one as well because we can variate it. And we've got two stalls for now, two stable stalls. So I'm gonna grab one brown horse and one black horse and bring them back to the village and then show you guys what I built in the time lapse properly. Alright, I've got a couple of horses here. As you can see, we got a black one and a brown one, and I really do love the textures and colors these guys have. But anyway, we're just walking along our path here, past a little kind of rose patch here, which I made because the extra time that I had not doing that build, and I think that looks super cool. If we just quickly put these guys in the build for now, and we don't actually have an interior or stables, proper stables yet, but we can just pop them over here for a second, and I can do that later on in the end of the video. And I think this looks super, super cool. And the thing that I really love about this build is kind of just incorporating lots of greenery into it. You got some trees over here, and using some unique blocks. As you can see, the uses of note blocks makes this build look super, super cool. And I didn't want the note blocks to be kind of fully shown over here because like it might look a little weird, the note block kind of texture. But I think behind that dark oak fence, it looks absolutely amazing. And I think this makes like the build unique. And of course, we've also got this tower here. And if you saw in the time lapse, I actually was experimenting with the roof style a little bit. Actually, I took a whole lot of time doing that, but I got to a roof style that I really like, which is this one here, and I really do love it. So I think this also makes the build unique. And I've also added a little bit extra over here to the side, which is this little staircase which comes up and goes into the living quarters of this building, which I absolutely love once again. Of course, though, I made the big path like you can see here, trying to incorporate a lot of coarse dirt here because, probably the horses running around here would probably, pick up a lot of dirt, and I think this looks super, super cool. Of course, adding in a bit of decoration like some birch leaves, some sea pickles, and some barrels really brings the place together. But like I was saying, I think this place looks really, really, really good. And we've also got a little cat here, which I brought over from the mole farm area. But I think this looks so cool. Of course, I need to add a few more details into here. Probably put like some hay bales to the side. And this looks super cool. Of course, I'll also need to do the interior and the stables themselves so that we can put these bad boys in. I mean, actually need names for these guys because, I haven't named them yet. And I think you should write down what you think the name should be in the comments below and I'll name them after you. And I think that'll be super cool. Of course, the names need to be great, which hopefully I'll love them. Anyway, so you can just leave those name suggestions in the comments down below. And as we walked in, you could see we had this flower kind of rose patch here and this kind of, de-elevated path, which I actually kind of like for a change. Kind of makes it like the path is dipping down a little bit into the terrain. And of course, it's going to rise back up and come around into this part of the village, which I think is super cool. And actually, if you hadn't noticed, we're probably going to put some more custom trees around here. But this rose patch is actually not just roses, it's some rose bushes, like one block deep into the ground, so it looks like a bunch of roses, and I think that looks super cool. And then we've got like an empty patch of like farmland over here, which I think kind of like makes it look more realistic because maybe some crops aren't thriving in this area. Now, when it comes to this building, you know how I haven't made it in the time lapse. I'm probably just not going to do it in today's episode, but I probably will do it in one of the coming episodes. where I'm probably going to work on this whole street here. And that's probably going to be the next episode where I'm going to work on this whole street here, making some, houses and some shops. And then I'll probably build this one here as well, or maybe just do these ones and make this on a separate occasion. Anyway, moving on from this build site back to normal build, you can see I've made the interiors now. We've got our horses also popped up in here, and I put up our fence gate so that these guys don't go wandering around. Of course, because it kind of makes sense to have some fence gates here. So we've got our little black horse here, which we still need a name for as well, like I was saying. And then we got that brown horse there, and I think this looks super cool. You can see that they fit very nicely into there. They've got plenty of space to roam about. And I think this works really great as a nice size for the horses stables because I actually originally thought this was kind of a big stable, but now it's kind of like a really nice size. So you can see I've just put some coarse dirt laid out in here, put some hay bales to the side, and we got a little ladder actually leading up to the top part of the tower. But we haven't actually done the proper interior for this build, just the stables. And we've got some hay bales, like I was saying, and then we got like this back door and this wall over here, just to like a little kind of window here, just to give in some fresh air, like to that part of the stable. Just pretend there, and then if we got this back door here, which leads on to the back stages, which I think looks pretty cool. And it's probably exactly the same for actually the other stable, just slightly different. The hay bales are popped up on this side instead, and we've got the door on the right side, and then of course the lead there. But because it's a diagonal building, we can't actually go through here. And what is that horse doing? Okay, I think it's started to calm down a little, but I think this looks really cool. Of course, we still need to do the top part of the interior, but it's kind of very hard to do since these are like top slabs. So I think I'm just gonna leave that for now, and we can just leave it as a decoy interior for the top. Overall, I really do love this building, especially now that we put in the stalls and the interior. And once we remove this building here so that we can get clearer thumbnail, because this is going to be my thumbnail picture. We just actually just remove this build and remove this orange terracotta, and you can place it back later when we create this build once again. But if we just move this orange terracotta to the side here, yep, into this shulker box, and we just probably like go like this, I think that will be like a nice thumbnail picture. Especially those horses look really cool, and I think there's lots of aspects of this building which make it really great. And I think the use of note blocks and some foliage and some greenery around here will make it different. And I think that this is a really cool type of build because we've got many different aspects, like I was saying, which makes this unique. So I really do I really did enjoy making this build, and I think it looks really great. However, unfortunately though, that is going to be the end of today's episode. So, like always, I hope you all enjoyed this episode today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.